Greetings, everyone. I am very excited today to be in conversation with Jocelyn Star Feather. And our topic for today is destiny, free will, and the higher self. Thank you for being here today, Jocelyn.
Thank you so much, Heather. It is a pleasure to be here with you.
So, let me give a brief bio about Jocelyn, and then I'll include her more full bio below, along with the link to her website, where she's got some great courses and a lot of good information. But Jocelyn is a leadership coach, spiritual alchemist, astrologer, and founder of Sacred Planet. She integrates her understanding of alchemy, astrology, shamanism, and ancient and indigenous wisdom to coach and guide others to be agents of change in the world. She also co-facilitates trips to Egypt and other ancient sacred sites. So it's great to have you here today. And before we get into the topic, Jocelyn, I would love if you could share, you, like me, went through a profound time of transition and transformation in your own life to be reconfiguring what you're doing to now move into this work. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Yes. I love sharing this part of the story as well. So I was in corporate. I was for 15 years in corporate finance, and I worked for big companies like Mercedes-Benz and Cadbury, a whole other world, whole other reality. I lived in North Jersey, worked in the New York metropolitan area. It's really something. And so I was doing well in that world, moving up that ladder, as we do, as we're supposed to do. And when my first daughter was born, which was in 2010, I can remember sitting on the couch holding her. We had just brought her home, and she was like 3 days old, and staring into her eyes. And it was like my whole world turned upside down. And as I was looking at her, I was thinking, oh my goodness, what have I done with my entire life up till now? I just had a sudden realization that everything I had built and created in my life was based on what other people said I should do, not what my soul was telling me. And in those moments, my soul began to speak to me in a way that I could hear for the first time in my life. And that was my spiritual awakening. And it was really, these questions of, I started wondering, why are we here? What are we supposed to be doing while we're here? And how can I build a life that is true for her, for myself as well, but also for the life that I would want to model? And then, what do I want to pass on to my daughter? And so that changed everything in just those few seconds of realization. And I really went into quite a dark night of the soul for about 2 years after that. It was a really challenging time. It was brightened by my little daughter, and watching her grow up. But at the same time, I was in a deep depression because I didn't know what to do with this new information. I had no idea, like, what else would I do with my career or my life or my trajectory? And so I didn't know what to do. But what I started to pursue was I started reading every different book I could get my hands on about all different world religions and spiritual traditions, because with the questions I was asking, why are we here? What are we supposed to be doing while we're here? I figured at least some of these traditions must have the answers. And what's really interesting is that what I was drawn to more than anything else that I read was indigenous wisdom. I was really, really drawn to Native North American wisdom, as well as the Amazon rainforest. I wanted to learn everything about North America and South America and the indigenous inhabitants and peoples that have been here, and all that they know and all the way that they understand and understood the world. So that's interesting. I never expected that. And that led me to shamanic journeying practice. And this was really my first ever time to try to meditate was shamanic journeying. So I would listen to a drum beat and I would call in my guide and see where they took me. And the most incredible things started happening in my life when I started shamanic journeying. Essentially, there was a mountain that kept showing up in my journeys. I had no idea where this mountain was in the world. And this mountain would show up every time. My guide would take me to stand in front of this mountain in every journey for many, many, many times in a row. And eventually, this mountain called me to New Mexico. And the opportunity came up to go to New Mexico, which was very unusual in my life at that time. And so I went to New Mexico because I saw, okay, clearly something's happening here that's important for me. And you can imagine my surprise so I flew into Albuquerque, we were going to Taos, and as the car came around this bend leading into the Taos area, there was the mountain.
Wow.
This mountain that had called me. I thought Taos was going to be like sand and cactuses, like desert. I'd heard it described as high desert. I didn't know there were mountains there. And so we came around this bend and there was the mountain. And again, this was another moment when just my whole reality shifted to imagine that a mountain could have spoken to me across the distances. I live in Maryland on the East Coast and called me there. And I became aware in that moment and throughout the whole week that I spent in Taos communing with that mountain and doing, visiting other sacred places. Magic is real. And I knew it, in a very experiential way. I knew magic is real. We are so interconnected with all the other forms of intelligence. And the ideas for my business started coming through then, and the way forward began to open up. So I'll pause there. That's a good.
That is an amazing story,
Okay.
Jocelyn. And it reminds me how when I studied with the Q'ero shamans in Peru, they talk about how we each have a sacred mountain that really
Yeah.
holds wisdom for us. And clearly, this was a profound guide for you.
Yes, and still is, actually. I still work with that mountain and the spirits of that mountain very strongly. It's just amazing.
We'll shift into the topic, but I just want to say I so respect your courage in taking that leap. And, it's similar to the experience that I went through when you have that kind of mystical awakening. There's no going back.
Yeah.
But it takes you into the mystery and often a time of darkness and, this sense of being in the liminal time, knowing you can't go back to the past and that identity, but not knowing what's really evolving. So it takes a lot of courage and trust. But it sounds like you really let yourself follow your intuition and take a step at a time until you emerged in a radically new way.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's really like you said, you can't go back once you have these new understandings of reality itself. You can't go back. And it was my marriage didn't survive that. We broke up eventually after about 5 years after my awakening because I was so different. And, he kept saying, I just wish you could be the way you were before. And I was like, I'm sorry, I really can't. I can never go back. And it's so true. And it takes tremendous courage. And I think we're all in that together now, right? We're in the mystery. So many changes on our planet within ourselves. And we are really called to trust and surrender and know it's all happening for an amazing, beautiful, higher purpose that's coming through all of us.
It's remarkable in a way the world is going through that process now of deconstructing our old understanding of identity to be in the mystery, to move into radical new ways of being. And this so ties in with what you want to talk about today, which is how do we attune to our destiny, our true self, our soul's calling? So let's talk about that.
Okay, yes, that sounds great. And I do have some photos from Egypt. As we had said, it would be fun to share
Wonderful.
that too. So is it all right if I share those first and then we move into the topic?
Absolutely.
And of course, it's all connected. It's all connected. So I will share my screen and some slides that I put together for today, which will be really fun to explore. So here's the topic, destiny, free will, and the higher self. And we will look at that very soon. But first, I have some beautiful photos from Egypt. And I know, Heather, you guide journeys to Egypt as well. And so I know you'll be very familiar with some of these places, but I love always when I'm telling about Egypt, I feel such a need to share the images because the images are so transporting. You know, they really take us to another place.
Well put.
So here are some. um, so one place that we visited was Saqqara, and this is the place where the pyramid texts are found in the Pyramid of Unas. So that's what's here on the right. And these pyramid texts are one of the, or possibly the very most ancient magical spells that were written down. And I find it so interesting that even the Egyptologists say, yes, these were magical spells. It's very widely agreed upon. And these spells were to help people to navigate the liminal realms between life and death
Mm.
and travel out into the immortal stars of the north and then find our way back. So you can see the beauty of the text there. You can see the ceiling of the Pyramid of Unas has these beautiful stars, as many of the ceilings in Egypt do. And so much more I could say about all these photos, but I will be giving an overview. So this is Saqqara. This is a place with these incredible boxes. They're not sarcophagi. Nothing was buried there.
Mhm.
Some resources will tell you they buried their sacred bulls there, but we've never found bull skeletons or bull mummies there. And so we don't know what it was for, but you can see the size of the boxes in this photo that I
That's a
was,
great photo.
yeah, it's pretty funny. These are just massive granite boxes. And so there are different theories out there for what they could have been used for, but it was not for burial. And that's the case of so many places in Egypt. If you read the traditional textbook sources, they'll tell you this was a tomb, but it wasn't actually. Fascinating.
Places of initiation. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So we had a beautiful visit between the paws of the Sphinx, and we were able to meditate and play the crystal bowl there between the paws of the Sphinx. You can see how massive her paws are. Such a powerful place to be
Mhm.
there.
Beautiful.
On the Giza Plateau. And one of the temples that we visited was the Temple of Seti I in Abydos. And you know, people always ask, which one is your favorite? Which temple is your favorite? And you really can't have a favorite because they're all so amazing, but I would kind of have to pick Abydos. It's such a
Mm.
powerful place. And it's here's the outside of the temple. Here as you're approaching, and this temple is dedicated actually to 7 different beings or deities, but primarily to Osiris. And I love as we're walking up the stairs to Abydos Temple, there are always swallows flying
Mm.
on the stairs, and the swallow is the bird of Isis. So she's there greeting us and welcoming us to the abode of her husband, Osiris. It's just so magical in Egypt. This picture gives you an idea of some of how the light shines through that temple.
That's what's extraordinary. You just feel when you walk in that temple that you're being illuminated by this radiant light.
Yeah, This temple is a star portal. I have no doubt in my mind. It is really incredible to be there. This is one of my favorite hieroglyphic panels. And this is showing Thoth, and he is assisting King Seti I in coming back from the resurrection ceremony. He's holding the Ankh of life up to his nose and mouth. And so it's a very powerful scene. There's this beam of light that is always shining down somewhere on this wall. And on this day, it was over here on the high priest. But yeah, really powerful place. And then behind the temple of Seti I in Abydos is the Osirian. And this place is 40 feet. So the temple of Seti I, which the previous pictures were of, was built in about 1200 to 1300 BC. Now, the Osirian is 40 feet below the ground level of that temple from 1200 BC. So the Osirian is extremely ancient because we know over time, especially in the desert, the sediment builds up, the sand layers build up, and the ground level rises. So for this to be 40 feet below the level of 1200 BC, it's really incredible to even try to speculate how old it might be. It's built with a similar construction to the Valley Temple near the Sphinx. And it's got these pie-shaped, doorways. So, some say it's 20,000 years old. Some say it's 50,000 years old. We don't know for sure. Some of the earliest known flower of life drawings are etched here. And this is me showing a panel that I just love, which is in a tunnel leading up to the Osirian, which is showing this primordial god Nu lifting the bark of creation up out of the primordial waters. Really beautiful. And now we were able to visit Esna Temple. This is the first time I've been to Esna. And this temple has astrological ceilings that are extremely detailed, and they have just within the last year cleared the soot so that you can actually see them. So this was amazing. I need to do a lot of research to find out what all of this means. I do know that this panel with all the serpents here, it's representing before the first creation, the time when the forces of life were beginning to stir, essentially, before creation even began. Just
exquisite.
Incredible. Yeah, the imagery here is amazing. I have a few more images from there, and it's in really full color, which is rare to see. So it's quite breathtaking. And it's a little off the beaten path, but I hope to go there again. It was really, really wonderful. They were still working on about half the ceiling when I was there, so we couldn't see that part. But what we could see was just amazing.
Beautiful.
Now, this is a picture of the Temple of Isis, Philae, which framed by roses. I really love this. We went to the temple, which is this, it's, looks small over there. And then we rode a boat across and had lunch on the island across the way. And you have this beautiful view of the temple the whole time. We had a magical experience in the Temple of Isis. We wanted to meditate there. You're really not supposed to meditate in Egypt, or at least not where anybody can see you. It goes against their religion. So we were assisted by our Egyptian team, and they worked with the guards at the temple, and they were able to get us access to go up on the rooftop of the temple and then into a secret chamber. And we were able to meditate in there. The hieroglyphs inside of that secret little room were just amazing. So it was a really powerful.
Oh, wonderful.
So I didn't take a lot of pictures of the temple this year because there was so much happening. But this one with the roses is special. I'm including just a couple images from the museum. This is from a sarcophagus. I love this imagery with the either the sun or moon coming down to the human and then the serpentine energy rising up. I just feel that it's
Mm,
like that's all you really need to know
very
about life.
symbolic.
And I just love the papyrus images. They're so powerful and just really tap us into this much vaster and more cosmic perspective that it's clear the ancient Egyptians had. And that is such a big part of what we're remembering now. And one more slide about Egypt. So I just have a few cool images from the Giza Plateau. This is me climbing up, or maybe when we were going back down from the King's Chamber inside the pyramid. And these camels just lined up in such a picturesque way next to the pyramid. That's really cool. So powerful memories from Egypt. I was there January 23rd to February 9th, so just recently got back. So moving into our topic for today then.
Oh, thank you for sharing those, Jocelyn. And
Yeah.
like you, I just love being at those ancient sacred sites. And I think it's so tied in with what we're talking about today because those sites, I think, help us collectively remember who we are and why we're here. So
Absolutely.
beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, there's no question. It's such a life-changing experience to be there, and you don't even consciously know all that's happening, but there's so much going on, receiving the energies of the temples. The ancient Egyptians built the temples very specifically to be aligned with certain stars and constellations above, with certain ley lines and underground waterways below. And the
And with
temples.
sacred geometry and how they're designed.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And so it pulls all of those energetic currents together in the center where the humans are standing and receiving all of that. It's incredible. It really is.
Beautiful.
So, yes, and I hope you have the most amazing journey there in March, Heather. I know you
Yeah.
and your group will. So this is a quote that is very much the inspiration for what we're going to explore today. And this is a wonderful quote that Robert Edward Grant said as part of a recent interview. He said, "Destiny is the free will of the higher self." And I heard him say this, I think it was in December maybe, and I've been pondering it for a couple months. And finally kind of getting clarity on, wow, all the depths that this very simple statement entails. So I'll share a little bit of my reflections on that, and then I would love to hear your reflections and thoughts on all of it, Heather. So what this has come to mean to me as I've been pondering it more and more is that our destiny is the soul contract that we chose. And before we came into this lifetime, each of us decided what we wanted to experience and what we wanted to complete, or learn or attend to during this lifetime. And so what we chose is that destiny. So this is really the higher plan for this life. And it's a plan we made when we were at that soul level and we could see the big picture, we could see the plan for maybe the whole earth or maybe the whole universe, who knows, right? So it's a plan that is made from a very high frequency, high consciousness, space, and understanding. And so this destiny includes all of the highest purpose, attributes, and superpowers that we have. And it also includes the challenges and the pain that are important for building our character and building our strength up so that we can be capable enough to carry out that higher plan that we chose. And the reason I felt it important to bring up this topic is I have people ask me from time to time related to astrology, if astrology, if my birth chart already has the blueprint of everything that I might be able to experience in this lifetime, do I not have free will?
Mm.
Right? And so it's such an important conversation. What is destiny? What is free will? So I think it's important to also consider the destiny of the soul, not just the destiny of each of us in this one lifetime, right? But the destiny of the soul, which is a longer term contract that would stretch over many, many, many lifetimes that could never be completed in just one life. And so in this current lifetime, we're carrying out a portion of that longer term plan. And we can think of our destiny as everything we've been set up with in this lifetime to help us achieve that. So there are blessings and there are challenges. It's all important. And I think when we think about free will, maybe sometimes we want to avoid those challenges, right? We want to choose to not have to go through that. So it's important to keep in mind this is a higher plan, a bigger plan. And so our soul, of course, knows the plan, but we forget it when we come in. I actually think, and from seeing my kids, and some things they said when they were really little, I think we do remember for a little bit, but maybe by the time we're 5 or 7 years old, we forget.
I agree.
And then we spend our whole life trying to remember and get back onto that pathway of the higher plan. So we wouldn't want to change our destiny, right? And the thing is that we do have free will. We absolutely have free will. And in our astrology chart, it shows us the whole range of, so many different choices we can make within every archetype shown in the chart. But we've got to keep in mind that a lot of free will decisions that are made, especially if it's that we're trying to stay in the comfort zone, or if we're choosing things based on fear or limiting beliefs from our human understanding, those free will decisions can sometimes take us off the course of the higher plan or the destiny. But the universe will always conspire to get us back on the path, always, always. And what's important to know about this is that when we trust our intuition and we learn how to really hear and trust the voice of our highest self, right? And when we have the courage to go outside of the comfort zone, then we're moving into more and more alignment with that higher plan. Now, I thought it was so interesting to bring in Ma'at, the goddess Ma'at,
Beautiful.
Egyptian goddess at this moment in the conversation. So Ma'at, and this is a beautiful image of her from Nefertari's tomb. She represents truth, balance, and harmony. So she is natural order and cosmic law. And she ensures that everything stays in harmony. So she's the one that's upholding these principles of balance, harmony, truth, justice, integrity, courage, all of it that we need to stay on track. And so she's deeply interconnected with this concept of destiny and the higher plan and the higher self. She knows all of that. And she's helping us stay in harmony with that. Something about Ma'at that I love to mention too is that every pharaoh, when they moved into that role, would say the oath of Ma'at. And this is an image in Abydos of King Seti I. And you can see he's holding up a tiny little statue or a tiny little representation of Ma'at with her beautiful ostrich feather on her head and the ankh in her hand. And this oath that every pharaoh would say essentially is, and he's saying this to Isis and Osiris, by the way, they're over there on the next part of the panel. He's saying, I am so grateful to receive this kingdom and this thriving land from you that you are entrusting to me. as I take on this role of Pharaoh. And I know that you are handing it to me in perfect natural order and cosmic law. And I vow to live my life in devotion to maintaining that natural order and cosmic law and hand it back to you at the end of my life in the same perfect balance. Now, can you just imagine if our our leaders today would take that oath? That would really change some things.
Exactly. Beautiful.
But this is what Ma'at stands for, is upholding that integrity of all creation in everything that we do. And it's so beautiful. And so our astrology chart is an amazing tool that helps us to do this. Because every part of our chart reveals different facets, different archetypes of who we are and what we came here to accomplish. So taken, the whole chart together, it is your sacred blueprint that is pointing you back toward your truth. And I think that's why astrology is becoming so popular now, rising in all of our awareness collectively around the world. I think we feel deep in our hearts, even those who might not know much about it or maybe not even know much about the spiritual journey yet, feel the truth in the astrology. And so all of the planets, all the asteroids, all the points in our charts are uniquely set up individually for each one of us to help us on that journey of accomplishing our destiny. And I have some examples here. The North Node and the Midheaven, I believe, are major indicators of what our higher self knows, right? And are really revealing to us the higher plan and the soul contract. And I believe the sun is our life force. It's our willpower. It's all that's within us that gives us the strength and courage to follow the plan, even when we have to go way outside of our comfort zone, right? But to follow that plan with integrity. And this is an image of Thoth here on the right. He is the Egyptian god of many things. Wisdom, writing, all of the sciences, mathematics, sacred geometry, astrology, astronomy, and more, and the moon. But he is, in the planetary alignments, he is equivalent to Mercury. So Mercury in our chart is our intellect and our communications that help us carry out our purpose and destiny, as another example. And then points like the South Node and Chiron represent more of the pain and the challenges that we need to move through in this lifetime in order to evolve, right? And in order to build our character and build our strength and become aligned with our path of destiny. So astrology reveals all of this. And it's fascinating that we're given this tool, this language, to see our destiny written out in the chart. Just incredible. So these are a few more. I have more, planetary notes. Uranus is the place where we can break free from our old patterns. Neptune is the place where we navigate confusion and learn to connect with the higher intelligence of our dreams, our visions, our imaginations. All of them are here to assist and support us. And so all of this is shaping us, building our character. And I say this especially to anybody listening who might be going through a really difficult time. We all have our times that we go through the dark night of the soul, especially once we say yes to that spiritual awakening journey. We need to change so many things in our lives. And so it's important to always remember that when you're going through a difficult time, it is always for a reason. We are always being helped and guided toward our highest destiny. And we become masters of trusting and surrendering, as we go deeper and deeper on this journey. And as we do that, we get more and more in tune with that higher plan. And so we not only have our individual mission and purpose, but we are a collective. And so there's a larger shared mission. And each of us and our own destiny is like a puzzle piece that fits together with the destinies of all the humans. And I believe everyone, the birds, the mountains, the stars, we all are so connected, and we all are here to uplift each other and support each other in so many ways. So the more people who are awakening and doing their healing work and exploring these deeper layers of meaning is creating this huge positive collective impact. And so, that's what's happening right now. And it's amazing and it's terrifying all at once as we're moving through these times. But it is so beautiful. It's just more beautiful than we even know, I truly believe. So I'll pause there, and I would love to hear any thoughts you have, Heather, or questions, or
Oh, beautiful, Jocelyn. And I think our work is so in alignment in seeing astrology, seeing the chart as that blueprint of the soul, guiding us to be in the path of our destiny, our true self. And to me, some of my own transformation from being in a traditional clinical psychology practice to being in astrology is to go from the conversation about what's going on in your life and how to work with life's challenges and problems to being in that soul conversation. And it's extraordinary that the chart helps us to remember that and guide us back into that. And I know that we both have also training and an understanding of evolutionary astrology. So for me, Pluto is also really important in guiding us and seeing our soul's journey individually and collectively. So that as Pluto's moving more fully into Aquarius, it's calling our collective soul into those Aquarian paradigms. But this is so profound how you've put this together in terms of the way it can guide us to drop into that deeper awareness of who we are and why we're here. And would you say, Jocelyn, I mean, listening to you, it feels like our intuition and our hearts stay more connected to our soul self and that deeper purpose. It's our minds that can get us off course or get us caught up in the current expectations or cultural pressures to be someone or something that isn't in alignment with our true self. Would you say that's true?
I wholeheartedly agree. Yes. Yeah. I love that you brought that up. I really do believe that. I think we have so many clues and taps on the shoulder, and because our dreams are also connected to the soul, our intuition, as you said. There are so many forces within us that are hard to understand with the thinking mind. And in our world, which places such value on, you have to be able to prove things. It's much better if you can put it into a spreadsheet. I'll believe it more, right? And things have to be scientific and logical and practical. But that's only half of how reality operates. That is all important, but it's not the whole picture. There's this whole other side of us that is the dreams, the imagination, the visionary abilities, the intuition. And it's so important. And those two have to work together, right? For us to really understand who we are and what we're doing here.
It's extraordinary, that whole pressure for evidence-based approaches. And yet 4% of our reality is visible matter.
Right.
96% is invisible.
Yeah.
So if we're only locked into that 4%, we're missing the full spectrum of reality and of our own deeper nature.
Yes. Yes, very much. And you had mentioned Pluto, and Pluto tunes us back in to all of those unseen realms, that 96% that we often don't even know is there. And I really do think that's such a huge part of what's happening for all of us in the world. We've been, since 2020, we have had these major Pluto transits, Pluto conjunct Saturn, Pluto conjunct Jupiter. I think the Pluto conjunct Saturn was the same day as an eclipse in January 2020.
Mm.
I think January 10th, I believe. And so that just kicked off a whole lot of really Pluto-based experiences that are absolutely necessary and magical. But with what's happening in the world right now, I think it's so important to remember that, we're wanting to reclaim our power, our true abilities, right? Our magic is one way of saying that, our connection to the earth, our connection to the stars. And that is a very multifaceted treasure box to open. And it includes a lot of intensity, because when you become connected into all things, you feel what everything is feeling, right? And when you open to your true abilities, we're finding such deep power within ourselves that we hardly even know what to do with it. Right. And so that's the part that seems scary, but I really invite everybody into a perspective shift around that we're actually coming back into our power, we're coming back into connection with the mystery realms. So just because we don't understand it or it feels unknown doesn't mean it's bad, right? It's actually, the intensity is a good sign. We're really reopening to all that we are.
Well, I think what you're saying is so important because this is such an intense and accelerated time of transformation. And we're also in that time in the precessional cycle where we're going through the galactic sheet, the photon belt. So the magnetic field of the Earth has lessened. We're getting bombarded by these cosmic rays that are supporting us in remembering who we are and in being in this evolutionary leap that we're capable of. But as you said, it can feel overwhelming, it can feel disorienting and unsettling. So I think it's also a critical time to stay grounded and to do the healing work that we need to do to be able to integrate these powerful energies and be in this transformation process. Because
Yes.
collectively we're being called into the path of our destiny.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's a profound time. And I think that what you're saying is so important, that when we are on that path of our destiny, then we're freely choosing to be in alignment with who we really are and what our soul's intentions were in this lifetime. And then we're living out of our true gifts. I mean, I love, and I know you and I've both done a lot of work with shamans and a lot of our own shamanic work. I love that notion of finding your soul song, that we each have that unique song that's the expression of our gifts, our creativity, that we can then bring into the harmony of the spheres.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're, early this year, we're having this really important transit, Chiron conjunct the North Node, right? And so Chiron is that part of our chart that is reminding us of our gifts, reminding us of our talents and our ability to be a teacher or a leader or a healer, whatever it might be that we're meant to bring into the world. But we have to do the healing work to fully claim that, to fully understand that and be able to bring it forward. And we're getting so much help with that this year. especially in February. So powerful time for discovering our gifts right now.
Well, and I love what you were saying earlier about how when we get off course, the universe is actually trying to help us find our way back through
Oh,
synchronicities, through clearly through transits and those energies that get activated for us individually and collectively. But it really, for me, it's part of the magic of knowing that we are connected with these energies larger than ourselves and that they love us and want to support us in finding our way home to our true selves.
yes, we are so loved. We are so loved. And it's funny, it's really, it becomes so exciting and fun when we really start to tune into the synchronicities, because it can come through a billboard, a license plate in front of you when you're driving, or an eagle flies down like this and back up. I mean, the wildest things can happen to get our attention. And I feel they're all the planets, our guides, all the forces of nature are always trying to get us on that path. If we stray, to get us back on track. It's incredible how it works. It's just so amazing.
And don't you feel that the more that we wake up and open to being in that interaction with the energies of the earth and sky, the more we see it all around us, moment by moment?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It was, just being in Egypt, everybody was seeing the 111, 222, 333, 444 everywhere. Even our bus, the bus that drove us all around Cairo and Giza and everything, it had a sign on the front. It was bus number 1444.
That's
It's like,
great.
you just can't mistake this stuff. But yeah, I agree. I agree. It gets stronger. And I think we become more able to see all the signs too as we wake up more and more and know what to look for. There's just so much magic around every moment.
And the other piece that I want to come back to that you are saying that I think is so important is the meaning of Ma'at. And I love that the pharaohs would have to commit in living in Ma'at, by Ma'at, for Ma'at, to be in right balance, right relationship with all of life. So as we come back into alignment with our soul's path and purpose, we're in our right alignment and right relationship with everyone and everything around us that then is supporting that energy of balance and harmony in our world. So as we're in alignment with our destiny and our soul's path, we're helping support the healing of the world, which is a whole other piece of this, I think.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I've heard it stated in, maybe wellness terms as like a flow state when we get into the flow state, or there's different terminology for it, right? But what's happening there, I believe that is when we really click in with Ma'at.
Yes, good way to put it.
We really get into a place where we are, we're receiving the downloads, we understand the path forward, and it takes a lot of work to get there, but when you're there. And I think we've all had certain times in our life where we could just feel things moving forward at a new speed and new opportunities coming in, new people coming in. It's so amazing when that happens. And that's what it is. We've stepped into alignment with this sacred architecture of all that is. And we're in connection with that. And then the more people who are saying yes to that kind of life, right? Saying yes to our intuition, saying yes to wanting to learn what is the destiny, wanting to work toward it. Then this collective frequency, this collective whole, massive parts of us, massive groupings of us, I guess. I'm sure there's a better word for it than that, but we're like all clicking into alignment with Ma'at at once. And I really believe that this is our potential. as we're facing so many challenges in the world, there are more people meditating every single day now than ever before, or at least maybe going back several thousand years, right? There are more people receiving these signs and synchronicities and knowing what to do with them. We can change this trajectory in a second. We really can. We have the power, and it's already in motion. We're already moving toward that. So I really believe that the future is going to be so beautiful. We can hardly even imagine. And I look forward to that. I feel that collective momentum happening as we're all shifting more and more into our destiny and our highest self.
Oh, beautifully said, Jocelyn. And I also am thinking about how Ma'at is the one who meets our soul at the time of death to weigh our heart on the scale with our heart on one side and the feather on the other. And that if our heart is light, then we've really been in alignment with our soul's plan and destiny. But if we've been out of balance and off the path of our true self, then our heart is heavy. And I think part of my sense of some of what we're going through individually and collectively right now is really looking at where our hearts are heavy, where we've gotten out of balance. And in a profound way, I think we're seeing, the real shadow side of humanity and how out of balance we've really become. And it's up on the surface right now. And I think, like you said, Chiron's conjunct the North Node, guiding us in how to heal and clear, face the shadow aspects of who we are, to come back into connection with our hearts, come back into connection with our soul selves, and come back into right relationship. So if we can hold that larger perspective that the turmoil and turbulence is a part of the deconstruction and healing process, then we don't get mired in fear and despair, but see that we are collectively going through a time of healing, clearing, transformation to come back into alignment, to make this evolutionary leap.
Yes, absolutely. We have to see it. It's difficult, but it's being all brought up right now because we have to face that. It's within all of us, and so we need to work with it. We need to be aware of it. We need to do our own healing work, which is contributing to healing that whole. And also for those, who haven't had their awakening yet, I really believe that seeing, the challenges placed in front of us so clearly is helping a lot of people to awaken, because we're, realizing as a group too, it can't go on like this anymore. There must be something else. This cannot be the way that we're supposed to be, living on the planet, functioning on the planet, where the harm is being done. It just can't go on like that. And so I really think it is that necessary breakdown. As you said, it's a breakdown that's going to be leading to a breakthrough.
It's a great way to put it. Breakdown leading to a breakthrough. And don't you think, part of why I keep going back to Egypt and leading trips to Egypt is I feel like some of the most ancient sites there, like the Sphinx, the Great Pyramid, the Osirian Temple, are really holding those memories and awareness of this larger cycle that we're in as humanity, the processional cycle, and guiding us to awaken and remember that we're in one of those critical transition times collectively on the planet. And in such a powerful way, they're holding that energy of what it means to be in right relationship with the earth and stars and sky to come back into alignment.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, every temple, every pyramid, the Sphinx, they were built in perfect alignment with Ma'at because the ancient Egyptians knew how to do that, right? And that was the star alignments and the ley line alignments and the sacred geometry, as you said. And so when we connect with those sites, which we can do through meditations too, but also when we go there, when we stand in the temples, we're receiving those alignments. We are coming back into that sacred balance within ourselves. And I think that's why people's lives are changed when they go to Egypt. You know, it's you come back and you're just not the same person anymore. You've been realigned with Ma'at. And so it's beautiful. I mean, how incredible that they built these structures so long ago to assist and support and remind us today. It's just amazing. And with the, all the solar flares and all the changes happening, I really have this sense that we are, all the light that's coming in, we are being guided to return to the level of consciousness that was on that the other side of that precessional cycle, right? 12,000 years ago. We're being invited back into that level of consciousness, which is probably when the Sphinx was built, pyramids were built, they knew how to do all of this. And that's being given back to us now. We're being asked to open to all of that once again. It's just incredible.
And not only are we coming out of that time of forgetting and disconnection back into that higher consciousness that we're capable of, but I also feel like we're at a time where we're called into a historic evolutionary leap, what the shamans would call becoming homo luminous ones, so that we can actually reclaim that awareness that we're energy beings and beings of light and love. And but again, to get there, we have to clear, we have to heal, we have to really work on what would block us from that to go through that transmutation and transformation.
Yeah, yes, to be able to, it's like if we want to be able to channel or be able to meditate more clearly, we eat healthier foods and we drink more water and we want to make ourselves a hollow bone and a clear channel. And I think that's the same thing that's happening for all of us as we do all this healing work, as we do the deep healing work and clear and release the old. We're becoming those clear channels, and the collective is becoming more of a clear channel to really receive all of that. Absolutely.
And I really think what you were saying a few minutes ago is so important, that we have to really start with the inner work, because it's not changing what's outside of us, but really doing that inner work to come back into connection with our soul selves, our true selves. But before we end, Jocelyn, any other comments that you would have or advice you would have for people that are trying to find their way back to that sense of their destiny, their soul's path?
Yes, yes, I do. I do. And this idea just came in, and it's exactly what you're asking. So, we are in the precessional cycles, we're entering the Aquarian age. We have Pluto in Aquarius. We're having this Venus-Mars conjunction in Aquarius, very close to the time that you and I are recording this session. So much Aquarian energy. And Aquarius has really deep core values. And one of those is valuing uniqueness. And so it's so interesting. I hear my kids, my daughters are 10 and 13, and there's this statement that they say all the time now. It's really funny. It's you do you, if they see somebody with like a different kind of hairstyle or a shirt, whatever, they appreciate that. They're like, oh yeah, you do you, girl, it's such an Aquarian statement, you do you. So what I want to say about that is the Aquarian values include really truly honoring the uniqueness and even the weirdness of each person. right? And I believe that, and I already see this happening again, very much with the young people. Weird is the new amazing. Weird is the new cool. Um, being different is going to be so highly valued more and more as we go forward in the world. And so all of those listening out there that might feel like the black sheep, or you might feel like you don't fit in, maybe you're in the middle of your spiritual awakening and your family and friends are just not understanding and you don't know how to share that with them. Really trust that this is a magical thing that's happening for you. Really trust that it is so valuable and so important for each of us to be weird and different in our own unique way. And really that is the path to the destiny, because I know for me, when I was following the path that everybody else said, you got to go to school, got to get your master's degree, got to get married, got to go to, get a good job. That was not my truth.
Mm.
Was not my truth. I was meant to do things in a different way. And only when I opened up to doing things in a really different way, and my husband at the time couldn't understand. A lot of my family, friends couldn't understand. Really trust the journey of striking out on your own unique path, because that is the way forward. It truly is. And you will find the people who totally get you. You will find the people who resonate with you. Sometimes we got to leave behind the people who can't, or just, not take it personally if people can't understand who are currently around us. The new people are coming in, and you're going to be a leader. You're going to be, somebody who is eventually guiding others because you dared to have the courage to do it in your own way now. So really trust that journey of uniqueness and stepping out on the Aquarian path. And one more note about that, we're getting so much help from Uranus this year, through a number of years here, but particularly in 2024 with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in April.
Absolutely.
This is the evolutionary leap, impetus that you mentioned, the evolutionary leap, Heather. That Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, that is an evolutionary leap. That is going to give us the ability, the courage, the expansion that we need to even surprise ourselves. Uranus is the planet of surprises, and Uranus stands for our freedom and our liberation. Again, these Aquarian ideals. And so we're getting so much help. So lean into being different. You do you. Everybody out there. It really is the way forward, and it will bring you to your truth, your destiny, your highest plan. There is no doubt about that.
Oh, that is so well put. That's beautiful. Be weird. And
Yes, be
and
weird. It's the new cool.
and when we're not in our own uniqueness and creativity, then the world never experiences that uniqueness that only we can bring.
Yeah, right. This is we each have our own unique gifts that nobody else can do in the same way. So however weird you naturally are, that's great, because the world is waiting for it. The world needs it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing this today, Jocelyn. And thank you for having the courage to be weird and follow your true path. And thank you to all of you who are listening for being a part of this community, supporting each other, and being in our uniqueness. Blessings to all of you.